they've recently found structures on Mars that are so obviously man-made that it's almost impossible to deny. Like, I showed it to Elon, and he's like, "Oh, we should go look at it."
Okay, but here's the thing about like.
Have you seen that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Show him the square on Mars. So there's this. In the 1970s, they took satellite photos of what looked like a face on Mars in Cydonia. And
I
it's
remember.
Kind of
I saw
weird.
it. Yeah.
Kind of weird, but it's hard to say if that's like. There's things on Earth that look like faces. That is just like, it's just a natural formation.
Right.
But then they found this. This is recent. Look at that. I mean, what the fuck is that, man? Look at those right angles. Look at that. That's on Mars.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
that may have been a structure at
It
one
may
point in
have.
time.
Yeah. I mean, look,
It's too complete. It's too square. It's a square.
I mean, look, I
It
wouldn't.
might be a rectangle, right? Is it kind of a rectangle?
Well, I don't know. We'd have to measure it. I'm sure they could measure it with, throughout, here's the thing. When I looked up remote viewing, for example, and I really looked and did research on it, the studies that were done were kind of discredited about how the effectiveness of those actually were. So if you like really dive in, there's literature that says that it wasn't really the reason that they, apparently. Now this is all like
but
conflicting information. You know what I mean?
I had Hal Puthoff on, who was a remote viewer and who was involved in the remote viewer, the Stargate.
Right. So what does he
program.
say about the idea that like the actual studies were not that like conclusive, and that that's why they.
It depends on who's doing it.
I
Who's
know.
doing it? What's
Yeah.
the methodology? But
Yeah.
they were able to accurately find within a small radius a downed Russian spacecraft. So a Russian spacecraft that re-entered orbit and crashed.
Sure.
It was a spacecraft or an aircraft? Do you remember, Jamie? But they used remote viewers, and the Russians couldn't find it, and they found it. And you're talking about in like a vast expanse
Sure.
of wilderness. It could have been anywhere, but
Right.
they found the area
Yeah.
where it was. They also found a Russian factory that was making an enormous nuclear submarine. They found it, accurately described it,
Wow.
the dimensions of it. They knew where it was, and
Yeah.
it was an accurate location.
Yeah.
Not just the thing that was being hidden,
Right.
but where it was,
Right.
the dimensions of it.
Yeah.
I don't dismiss it.
I can't dismiss anything. I just know that like when I looked up like UFO experiences and like this disclosure stuff that's happening lately, and
Yeah.
I mean I'm a huge. I'm not just a believer. I pray that
Yeah.
there is someone out there disarming nuclear missiles, as especially right now. Like
Right.
my great hope is that there is someone just trying to like. Not step in, but oversee it to the point where hopefully we can survive to a point of having an interstellar civilization. It would be, it's the great dream of humanity, right?
Sure, but we have to be a different civilization than we are now.
Oh, 100%.
Otherwise, we're going to do the same shit. In
That's
other
the thing
places.
is that, and that's what I was always, even before Elon was as famous as he is now, when I was like 15, I read his book. And the one thing that I'm a friend of.
What was his book?
He read it was like a book about him, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But and I don't remember. But what I really wanted the focus to be on was let's put all these resources into getting this planet right first. Let's put everything we have. And it felt at the time like, okay, well, yes, we're spending all this money to go off, and maybe we're hopeless. It's possible that we're hopeless, and it sounds like that's where they err on this. It's like, oh well, humanity on Earth is just over. We just have to go somewhere else. But then if we go somewhere else, we're just going to do the same thing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So like, all of the resources, in my opinion, should be focused on like there's devices that they have invented that can be put in river mouths around the world to filter out pollution and plastics going into the ocean, right? And it's like this incredible technology. If the budgets were spent towards these innovations, and maybe AI will help it. Right now AI is kind of a tax on the planet in terms of like, It's not very good for it. But maybe the AI technology itself will then invent something that makes itself more efficient for the planet.
What do you mean by AI as a tax?
Well, because the energy required for the servers and all of that is it drains a lot of resource.
Right.
And so, but what AI may do is help us create like an ion battery or something that makes energy give off less. You can have this much more energy with way less heat and way less.
Right.
And so then you can create. Instead of having to have giant warehouses full of servers, you can have just it's the same stuff that happened with the computer, where the computer required a giant building when it was first created, and now you have computers smaller than a.
Just to be clear, Elon's position is not that Earth is like that. Humans are helpless or hopeless, and we have to just leave Earth. It's not that. It's that life is so fragile here because of the possibility not just of us fucking it up, but of natural disasters, and that.
Sure.
We need to become interstellar in order to propagate life and to survive. And so we can carry on this growth that we're involved in as a human species. Because they just, what was the number that they just found? A bunch of new asteroids? Like, the possibility of us being hit by a near-Earth object is extremely high over the next X amount of hundreds of years. It's extremely high. And these things might not wipe everything out, but they'll start civilization all over again. They'll bring us back to cave people. So the idea was that the more places that we are, the more likelihood that the human race survives. It's not just that we're going to fuck this up.
And I appreciate wanting the human race to survive. Don't get me wrong.
But it should be better than it is now.
I want us to learn our lessons on this planet.